now we're going to bring in the retired Major General and former head of Israeli military intelligence, Amos Yadlin. He's also joining us from Tel Aviv. Welcome to the program. You heard what I was asking the IDF spokesperson, and obviously it's very, very tough to figure out how to avenge this mass murder while also, as he says, respecting the laws of war. And also, as President Biden has said, that must happen, and all your EU and UN supporters as well. So what do you think, Amos Yadlin, might happen in the coming up as this massacres are avenged when the defense minister, Yoav Gallant, says they've removed all restraints from their soldiers? What do you think that might mean?
Christina, we have to remember what happened on Saturday. More than 1,200 of Israeli citizens were killed brutally by the terror organization called Hamas, and by the way, by citizens from Gaza that follow them. It was a pogrom. People were killed in families, children, women. Women were raped, people were killed, babies were beheaded. This is something that you should not put behind you. It's very much like September 11, and it's very much like your war on ISIS. And when the US attacked Mosul or Raqqa, there were some collateral damage. And this is what is going to happen to Gaza. Because Israel, that helped the people of Gaza by letting them come to work in Israel, by letting them have the Qatari money, were misled by unbelievable, brutal government of Hamas. And this government of Hamas is going to pay. The way the Nazis paid in Europe, the way ISIS and Al-Qaeda paid when they attacked Americans. So we changed the rules of the game. However, we will continue to fight according to the international law, as American forces fought according to the international law. And the international law is saying, if you want to win the war, you have to target your enemies, and there is the proportionality principle that allow that some collateral damage will be there to achieve the objective of winning the war. And we are in war.
Mm-hmm. I know that. And I now want to ask you, from your perspective and from what you know from your position, what is the actual objective? I don't know whether an actual objective has been announced by the Prime Minister, other than, you know, obviously avenging what happened and also decimating and changing the rules of the game, decimating Hamas, and as one IDF spokesman said today, changing the rules of the day. What exactly does that mean? Does that mean, you know, fighting until there's no longer Hamas in charge or anywhere able to exert any authority in Gaza?
Yeah, changing the paradigm. The paradigm was we can live with Hamas. It is a deterred organization. It's we may need to have a mini war around every 4 or 5 years, but they will not go to a full-scale war. This paradigm was wrong. We allowed them to build up a military that threatened Israel and destroy the whole region of Western Negev. This is not going to happen again. So, to your question, the objective is to reduce Hamas' capability to threaten Israel to the minimum possible. And this means destroying their military power and destroying their governance power.
So does that mean, Amos Yadlin, does that mean that Israel then what? Then what happens? Is Israel also counting in the possibility of going back in and ruling? What happens when that happens?
We will do what is needed. At that time, we are still in the process of clearing Western Negev from Hamas murderers. and restore the defense. But in the same time, the Israeli Air Force is conducting a very aggressive bombing campaign against any target that belongs to Hamas in Gaza. And unlike the past, we are not giving a specific warning. In the past, we used to pick the phone and to call the terrorists and tell them, please evacuate your apartment. Not anymore. Anything that connected to Hamas, command post, intelligence post, logistic, production, will be targeted all over Gaza until we will reduce their capability to threaten Israel close to zero. Close to zero. And I must tell you another thing. We are living in the Middle East. As we saw, when you are weak and your enemy taking over, it's a pogrom. We need to show, to demonstrate to other enemies, like Hezbollah, like Syria, like Iran, that anybody who is dreaming about duplicating what Hamas have done will suffer something that he haven't dreamed about. And Gaza is a way to rebuild our deterrence. So it's gonna be a very, very aggressive campaign.
I hear you loud and clear, and I guess everybody will be hearing you. So I guess I want to ask you, you're saying very clearly to rebuild the deterrence, because I'm assuming you agree what happened on Saturday knocked the superiority of Israel, on its head. I mean, the idea that the military, the intelligence, everybody was caught so much by surprise, destroyed the decades-old myth of Israel's superiority. I assume that's what you're saying, and you need to regain that. But how do you imagine, as former head of military intelligence, that happened in the first place?
I tell you again, there will be an aerial campaign against any target belong to Hamas in Gaza.
Okay.
And there are thousands of them. And then, don't rule out a military move on the ground. Because I'm a big believer in air power. I'm a fighter pilot in my background. But there are places and missions that cannot be done from there. So don't rule out ground operations that once again will go to every place that we know that Hamas are there, especially their leaders that order the attack. They will not be in Gaza at the end of the day. They will not be in Gaza.
Okay. Amos Yadlin.
And
I want to continue,
once
but
again, pay attention to the nose. Pay attention to the nose. Because what is happening in Gaza may affect the nose, but we can speak about it tomorrow.
Yes, we are keeping an eye on it, by the way, and we did ask the IDF spokesman, and thank you very much indeed for being with us tonight.